Welcome to Building Profitable Relationships, the podcast where we talk with successful entrepreneurs and business owners who have built strong and profitable relationships with their customers, partners, and peers. In our conversations, we explore the heart and science of relationship building in the world of business. Welcome to Building Profitable Relationships, where we bring you inspiring stories, tips, and strategies for building strong relationships in your business. I am Yvonne A Jones, your host and founder of the Building Profitable Relationships podcast. My guest today is Linda Duong, who is located in Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you so much for having me on. It's so lovely to be able to connect with you like this.
Absolutely. It's my delight. Now, Linda is a seasoned entrepreneur, a coach, and author. She's also the founder who has successfully built a thriving business by building those strong relationships. Linda will be sharing her approach to relationship building and her top tips for anyone looking to grow their business and brand through stronger relationships. So let's go ahead and dive in. Linda, would you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are as a person and share with us about your business, please.
Sure. So in short, I run Link Coaching, which is my coaching business. I also run Three Hearts. I'm Three Hearts founder. It's a social initiative to address mental health issues with an innovative way of addressing with a preventative model. And I'm also the best-selling author of the book Connection, The Currency to Happiness. Access your happiness right here, right now, with or without the $1 million. And on top of that, people have known me to be the little girl who was born at the end of the Vietnam War with nothing much, came to Sydney, Australia without a word of English, but yet has been blessed to be able to achieve every single dream I have so far. So that's the short intro. What do? I help coaches, healers, entrepreneurs, everything to do with business mindset, goal achieving, positive mindset, you name it, to do with goals and achieving goals and self-leadership. Self-leadership, because if we can lead ourselves well, we can lead our family well, we can lead our business, our courses well. And that's the focus that I do with all the coaches.
That's wonderful. I love that emphasis on self-leadership because you made a really great point. If we can lead ourselves, then we can be leaders in other areas of our life. And that's profound, really. So taking it from where you are, and congratulations on your book, by the way, which I will be reading. So having covered all these various areas, what do you believe are the key elements? What are the key elements that you have found to be the ones that have enabled you to make these strong relationships with your clients, joint venture partners, if any, and definitely your peers? Share with us about that, please.
Sure. I'm sure everyone has heard the word authentic enough these days, but that's pretty much my value, and that's how I operate my whole life. And so what it really means, as you could see the sign there, it says Three Hearts. Three Hearts stands for love and connection for ourselves, love and connection for each other, and love and connection for the universe. What it means is that when we treat each other with the heart, rather than with the dollar focus, it transforms all relationships. So when I show up to serve my clients, it's never about how many appointments do I need to make so that I can, meet my quota, meet the figures, but it's all about the clients. It's all about what do you need, Yvonne? How would you like to go forward? And how fast would you like to go forward? It's never about like what I want. It's never about my agenda, but it's always the person who's in front of me. And so when you always have that focus, your relationship's completely different. It's like I share in the book, right? There's no me at work and me at home as such, because I hold the same value. I hold the same value, whether I'm a leader at work or a leader at home with my children. It's the same person, the same mind, the same heart, the same focus, the same leadership. Of course, when you speak to children, it's different, but the value is the same. And so therefore, when you treat whoever you're dealing with, whether it's colleagues, whether it's clients, with a heart center focus, your speech is different, your sentiment is different, everything is different. And it creates this harmonious relationship that it just brings a deeper connection with each other. And so your work becomes so much more meaningful, so much more meaningful than just a transaction, than just meeting the numbers and the quotas of the month and the year. I hope that articulates it.
Oh, it articulated it very, very well. And I know this is why we connected so well the very first time we met, because we share those values. Authenticity is so important. And along with authenticity comes trust, and because it also connects with integrity. And those are core values that make us the persons that we are, but they also help to draw other people to us, because people can see through fake, they can see through pretense. But when they recognize us as being truly authentic and being others focused, caring really about them rather than ourselves, then it makes a huge difference. People open up to us, because trust is at such a there's such a lack of trust in general right now, so that when people can trust you, it definitely builds the relationship. So thank you for sharing those thoughts and
My
how you
pleasure.
operate in your business and
Yeah.
life.
Yes, my pleasure. Because when people feel that trust, they're able to open up exactly like you say, right? So say, for example, I had a business meeting when that person thought that she could offer something. But then once she had established this trust with me, she was actually able to say, actually, this is what I wanted to do, right? She's actually at a high level of investment venture capitalist, right? And she's doing well, she's doing great. We were talking about investment and things like that. But then she actually kind of like switched gear a little bit and said, actually, I aspire to be in a managerial position. I wouldn't mind to be a manager for once, because, I deal with finance all the time, my whole career life. I would love to lead a team. So what she had, and then so she keeps saying manager, right? So what I hear from her, when you tune in and you understand what people truly want. So what she really want, when you listen with your heart, what she truly want to practice her leadership skills instead of just talking about finance and investment. So then I was able to advise her, what you actually want is to activate your leadership thoughts, to be in a leadership position, not exactly in managerial. There's a huge difference. I'll give you one example. Manager is like back in the factory days, right? You have station one staff, station one do this, step two do that, right? They have to follow precise procedure, because then you cannot miss one step. If you miss one step, the rest of the process will get messed up. But we don't have that much of those kind of process work anymore these days. What we need more is self-empowerment and ownership of our job. And so I gave her an example, right? In the olden days, if you run a restaurant, you would say, have you done this? Have you done that? You'll be busy chasing your tails of everybody, making sure everybody does everything, right? So that the restaurant runs smoothly, so that no customers are complaining and unhappy. Whereas if you run the restaurant with a directorship, with a leadership, less managerial, it would be more like, okay, you're the chef. These are your responsibility. It's all about the ingredients, all about freshness. It's all about the taste and the texture. Whereas if you're the waiter and waitress, your area of expertise is out here with the customers and your time management about delivery. So that way, everybody knows their area of expertise and their responsibility. And you give them that kind of self-empowerment rather than having to chase the tail all the time. Have you done this? Have you done that? It gets tiring. And she just absolutely loved it. And that's the difference. When you gain the trust, when you establish the trust, your audience, whoever is with you, whether it's your colleague, your client, would be able to open up at a deeper conversation. And from that, if you also, in return, listen with trust and heart, you'll be able to lift them at a higher level, at a deeper, meaningful conversation than you normally would have. And it's just much more beautiful conversation when that happens.
Absolutely. And you have touched on so many things. You've touched on empowering others, which is key, not micromanaging, which is the opposite of empowering others to become the leaders, regardless of what their role is in the organization or in the business, that they accept that they're the leaders of what they're supposed to do. And you empower them how to do that. And I also resonated and heard you say, without saying it, that active listening is so vital, because many times we don't really listen. We're thinking about what our answer is going to be. And what
Yes.
you did, you listened to that person. So you even heard what she didn't say. So that is commendable. So that's in the one-on-one situation, but I also know that you use social media. So Linda, how do you leverage social media and other digital channels to engage and connect with your audience and build those relationships?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. These days, we all have to use social medias. It's our way of reaching the world. And that's how we got connected. And I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing, that you hold the same value and you transfer that onto those platforms wherever you appear, because that's who I am, right? So it doesn't matter whether I share on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on YouTube. I am still the same me. I exhibit the same value, the same kind of respect for other people. And the way I connect with people, I stay the same as me in all the authentic way and with heart and connections. And so that's how you leverage the social medias. Many people do it differently, right? There are people who would do flashy photos for the likes and the clicks. There are people who share deep, sad stories to get their attention, right? They are all different strategies. They're
Mhm.
all different strategies. So you have to pick one that suits you. For me, I don't intentionally pick as such, but I just show up as me. I literally just show up as me. Why? Because I don't have to remember. I don't have to be pretending. It's tiring, right? You don't have to forget something. So I literally just show up as me, right? So therefore, I'm able to carry that same value throughout. And so then, therefore, whether people find me through LinkedIn or whether they find me through Facebook, I'm still the same person. Of course, the post that we post might be different
Mhm.
because the nature of different channels and different platforms that restrict you or have different trends of the style of writing might be slightly different. But essentially, I'm still the same person. I'm still me. So I guess the message here is to keep being you, keep being who you are. In that way, people find the alignment that, oh, this is still the same person. Otherwise, it's like, oh, how come on Instagram you are like this, and then on LinkedIn you're like this? Like I said, the language might be slightly different just because of different platforms. The tone of voice might be slightly different, but you hold the same value and you do the same kind of standard of work. That's how I do it anyway. I hope that helps.
Absolutely, and you're very correct. You know, it's okay, for example, on Facebook to share cat stories and things like that, but you wouldn't want to do it on LinkedIn because that's a professional platform, and it's expected that you do things like that. So definitely, I understand, and I think our listeners and viewers will totally relate to the fact that it's important that as you go on the various platforms, your message may be the same, but how you word it is going to be directed to the standards or what the expectations of the particular platform. So thank you for that, Linda.
Pleasure.
Now, can you share a success story about an particularly impactful relationship that you've built through your business? And how has this contributed to your success?
Yeah, wow, that's a really nice question. Thank you for asking. I have built many relationships through Facebook, through LinkedIn. Um, to pick one, I couldn't really pick one, but let's say I use Three Hearts as an example, right?
Mhm.
So a little bit of background story. Initially, I wrote a book just for my children. It was a sentiment just for them. But after I wrote the first draft, I saw two stories of two kids who took their own life due to cyberbullying. And I felt so sad. I felt compelled to share the book. Now I don't know these children, but I felt so compelled to share the book. But as soon as I decided to publish the book, I had this vision that we need to have connection hubs all around the world. Because I keep thinking that if these children reach out to anybody, their story would have been different. They might still be here. And with that thought, I shared it with my friends. I shared it with trusted friends all around the world. And it was so heartwarming that I have friends put a hand up. I'll help you. I'll help you launch it. Like, it's just beautiful. You know, when you share authentically and when you have a big vision that can benefit the world and you can share authentically, everybody will get together. Everybody will want to help. So back in 2020, I have 16 ambassadors around the world, including chiropractic doctors in America, the world-renowned professor, the first professor on intellectual capital agreed to be Three Hearts advisor. It's so heartwarming. We had a whole team of people help launch this vision and mission. So I couldn't speak enough. So it's not one case. And there's so many more stories that come. And yeah, that's the beauty of connecting with the true heart.
And the Three Hearts is a beautiful story. Maybe we can go into that together another time,
Sure.
a little on a deeper level. So you are very busy. You're a mother. You're a business owner. You have this nonprofit organization. You're involved in a lot of things. So Linda, share with us, how do you balance building relationships with managing the day-to-day demands of running a business?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. But before I answer that, I'd just like to add a little bit of information. So Three Hat is operate like a nonprofit, meaning we don't charge people any fees, but it is not exactly a nonprofit. It's more like a social enterprise. So I just want to share
Mhm.
that.
Thanks for
And
that clarification.
thank you. And on top of that, so I have Link Coaching Business, which is my coaching practice. I have Three Hearts, which is the contribution passion project, and I have my book. Now, everybody know that a book is a business on its own. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, that's the business there. But I'm also building another amazing platform, which I can't wait to share. We have to come back and share that one. It's launching soon. So to answer your question, we always know that if you want anybody to get anything done, give it to the busiest person.
Mhm.
I know it's funny. It's kind of like you give it to the busiest person and they always find the time to do it. Why
Mhm.
is that? It's because the focus is different. And to answer the question shortly, because I know that we are time bounded on these interviews, to answer your question shortly, one of the strategies I use is time boxing.
Mhm.
Because if you don't have time boxing, the clock tick, 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 it goes really fast. just like today, before we got on the interview, you said to me, Linda, we only have 25 minutes. And so therefore my mind's been thinking 25 minutes is all we've got. Because at other interviews, I have a whole hour. So then I go into details and I go into the stories telling, because normally I love telling stories. So time boxing is one of the very effective strategy because it brings our mind into the focus to get the task done. But number two is my most important so-called the secret that I have not shared before, because you're the first person who asked this. Everyone asks slightly differently, but it hasn't come out this way, but I will share with you. The secret is that as you get busier, the to-do list doesn't work. I don't have a to-do list. If I was to spend time and write my to-do list, I feel like I wasted my time. So for me to attend to something, whatever it is that is the most forefront in my heart and my mind, that's my most priority. So I operate very differently. I don't look at the date, the time, the figure, the whatever, but whatever it is that is takes most of my attention in my heart and my mind, that's the one that got priority, and it'll get done straight away. And that's how I move things quickly. Why is that? Obviously, that is the item that means most to me. If it weighs heavily on my heart, it's got to be dealt with. If it's the first thing is on my mind, obviously it's important enough. So those are the ones I always get done with first. And the minute I get those done, the flow of energy just go, my focus, and it just go boom, 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 boom. But if there is something that is there and I don't attend to it, I give you the quickest example. We're mothers, right? If our kids has a problem, has a concern, would you drop everything for your kids? Yes, of course you would. Would you just ignore your kid and continue your business? I don't.
No.
So that's a quick example, right? That's a quick example, because the minute I attend to my children or whatever it is that's taxing me on my heart and mind, I just have to give it attention first. Why? If you don't, you go to work, you're not going to be able to be present. Right? Whatever you do is like nagging behind your mind, and then you have this dialogue or this feeling. You're not free, you're not present. When you're not free, you're not present, you're not going to be able to achieve 100% quality. All of my work, it's top quality. That is because I have to make sure that I'm present 200%, whatever I work with. It's like I'm talking to you now, right? Nothing comes to my mind except you're in front of me and your audiences. And so that's how I operate. In order to have high quality of work, you've got to be 200% present if you can't be 100%. I'll put it the other way around. Because that's how I do it. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it does, because again, you're being authentic and you're being honest and explaining the way you do it. Overall, you use time boxing, but what I also gathered from what you shared is that whatever is on your heart, you deal with that first and you get that out of the way, because it makes sense. It makes so much sense, because as you said, if it's still there, it's going to be nagging at your thoughts and you're not going to be 100% or 200% focused on what you're doing in a moment, because you have this thing that's nagging at you.
Yes, that's
so my final question today, then, Linda, would be, you've shared a lot of value. You've shared a number of strategies that are unique to you as a person, as a business owner, as a parent. Now, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out in their business and they want to build strong relationships with their clients or customers, or they want to expand it to a worldwide audience like you do? You can decide. What advice would you give to them?
Well, the advice I would say is that be patient. Be patient, right? This question asks a lot. First, you're only starting, And then you want to build a relationship with your customers. And then you really want to reach worldwide. So my first word will be patience.
Mhm.
No success happens overnight. It all takes time. If I mean, we do work on speed these days, amazing, right? Because I work with startup, right? Startup is fast, it's scalable, but everything's got its place and time. Even with startup, before you scale, you still have to do your legwork. You still have to do all the foundations. So
Mhm.
the first word of advice is patience. The second one is know your value. Know what's important to you and articulate that. Because if you're able to share your value, what holds important to you, you might not tell your customers straight away when you first met them, right? But when you conduct your business as you go through it, like I just get on the call now in a matter of like, how long have we been? 20 minutes, 25 minutes? I've already shared a lot of my values. So by being able to share your value, people know where you're coming from and people can respect you for that. And of course, the trust. The trust is the most fundamental in business. It takes a very quick moment to break the trust, but
Mhm.
it takes a long time to build the trust. So if you can establish the trust factor early, you'll go far. So I would say the two most important words, patience, build trust.
Yes, that's good. I love that. And know your value. Know
Know
your
your
core
value.
values, because
Absolutely.
there will always be influencers or influencing from whether what you read or from other people. And if you're not really firm in your own values, you can easily be swayed because you see someone doing something and they seem to be successful. So the temptation may be to be like them.
Yes.
But when
So
you're
the
grounded in your own values,
yes.
it helps toward your success. You were saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. With the value factor, it's not just in business, it's in your personal life as well.
Mhm.
When you know your value, you will be able to establish yourself as a more self-respected person. Before we can have people respect us, we need to respect ourselves. So the value factor is paramount. It's just in all areas of life, in your personal relationship, in your family, with yourself. You definitely need to know your value. But when you start the business, you definitely need those two factors, which is patience and trust. Trust yourself, even. Trust yourself to go through the process before you can expect success.
That's awesome. Sound advice. And I was just thinking that in a world where we have the microwave thinking, where things happen fast and I want the results immediately, your advice for having patience is solid. That's solid advice. Things don't come overnight, as many people like to portray. They get rich quick and that kind of thing. It takes patience, it takes planning. So that is sound advice, Linda. So we're about to wrap up now. Is there any last minute word you'd like to leave with our audience?
Sure. Just remember, whatever you do in life, the journey is never smooth. There's ups and downs. There's always challenges. But always remember one thing: happiness is another form of wealth, and it's your most treasured form of wealth. So whatever you do, protect your happiness. And happiness doesn't always have to come from materialistic. You can just go and walk in nature, appreciate nature, and that's where you access your happiness immediately.
That's fantastic. Linda, thank you so much for being my guest today. You have shared so much incredible value that I know that our listeners and our viewers will enjoy. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again, and to our wonderful audience. We appreciate you for being here today, listening, watching on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and like and subscribe when this is posted, and it will also be posted on Spotify. And I always want to remind you that when you focus on relationships, the money will follow.